Today we are going to talk about inflation. Now, what is inflation? Inflation is nothing but increase in price of goods and services. So now we come to what are the causes and what causes inflation. The causes can be increased income. So if every person has more income or disposable money, which they can spend, then obviously the price of goods and services will increase. Second would be, increased population and demand. Suppose the population is increasing, so same thing is required by many people, so automatically if many people are going for the same thing, the price of that particular thing will increase. Third would be government policies. Government policies, like you have learned in the last lecture, like increased money supply, or government may increase the money supply in the market, which will increase the prices of the product in the market. Also, there is something called as deficit financing, which means that you borrow a lot of money to fulfill your current needs, buying needs. That is called deficit financing. So suppose you need 200 crores for something, so you borrow it even if you cannot afford it. So if such kind of borrowing happens in the economy, large amount of borrowing happens in the economy, again it will increase to the price of goods and services. And lastly, one of the most important is hoarding or speculation. Like, say, what this middleman will do is they will think that okay, the price of onion is going to rise, so what they will do is they will buy a lot of onion and not sell in the market. They will keep it with them, they will hoard it. So what will happen is suddenly there is artificial created deficiency of supply in onion in the market, and hence if the supply of the onion goes in the market, the price will rise. So hoarding and speculation also causes increase in the prices, and hence it kind of causes inflation. Now, what is the impact of inflation? Is basically, obviously, for a middle class or a lower poor family, it causes the imbalance of family budget. So suppose you have planned a family budget, so if the prices of goods and services increase, suddenly your family budget is impacted. Second point is, inflation has more effect on poor and middle class people. Now I will give you an example. For example, suppose a poor person earns 1000 rupees and a middle class earns 5000 rupees. Poor person spends 800 rupees on food and essential items because he is not earning much, he cannot afford anything extra, so he is earning an 800 rupees, everything he is spending on food and essential. Similarly, middle class is he is spending 3000 on the same food and essential items. What happens if inflation, this 3000, even if it increases something, it becomes 4000 rupees, and this 800 becomes 1000 rupees. So what happens? This both has increased, and they are the people, someone rich, suppose they are earning 50,000 rupees, and even if this they spend on essential is 15,000, even if it becomes 25,000, still they are left with a lot of saving, 25,000. So their only saving decreases, but here they cannot even go for their essential items. So impact of inflation is more on poor people. Third most important is, obviously, because hoarding and everything happens, so it profits to middlemen and manufacturers because they increase the price, so there is a lot of profit to the middleman and manufacturers. There is another very important term which is very often asked, is called hyperinflation. Now, a little bit of inflation will always happen in the economy, and it is also wanted in the economy, which is how the growth will come. But when this inflation becomes uncontrolled or high, This is called hyperinflation. So uncontrolled and very high inflation is called hyperinflation. Thank you. Okay, now we are going to talk about credit function of bank. Now credit function is bank has a basic function to lend out money to people. So lending out function is called as credit function, right? Now why does a bank lend? Obviously bank lends because first it has to make profit. I mean, that is, if it earns interest to create profit. Also there is a legal requirement by Bank Regulation Act. Bank Regulation Act 1949, which makes it compulsory for bank to lend. Now why this is important is because suppose someone opens a bank, bank has a lot of special norms. So if someone opens a bank and uses it for other purpose other than lending money, right, so it can be very disastrous. So it's a legal requirement that bank open up and lend money to people. Now what are the sources of fund? Sources of fund. So how does a bank get money to lend? One is paid up capital. Everyone who wants to start a bank has to have some capital, which is the paid up capital. Also every year bank kind of has reserve funds. Out of that, we remember 20% minimum of annual profit goes to the reserve fund of the bank, so that bank can use that reserve fund to lend money. Also customer deposit their money in banks, so bank can use that deposit money to lend money. And finally, also if a bank wants, it can borrow money from market or from other banks to lend the money. Okay, now there are certain principles of lending. So that principles of lending or credit which a bank closely follows. So let's have a look on those principles of lending. These are very simple. Basically, first of all, it should be a profitable thing. So no bank is allowed to lend money on unprofitable basis. Then bank also sees the acumen of borrower, which means what is the experience of the borrower who is borrowing money for a business. Bank has to ascertain that whatever loan they are giving is very safe, so safety of loan becomes very important. Also there has to be a pre-sanction appraisal. So even before the sanction of the loan, the bank has to make sure that loan is, whatever they are giving is going to the right year. Suppose if a bank is going to loan for machinery and factory, so they should go and see the inspect the place where the machinery has to be fit, see the documents that whatever machinery is being bought, how it will be. And also then there is a post sanction operation. So even if when the bank has sanctioned the money, it should keep visiting and seeing that okay, this much loan they have paid, how whatever the person has taken the money for putting up a machinery, is he putting it or not, is he pushing the same machinery or a cheaper machinery. So post sanction appraisal also is required. Now there is a small but important difference between loan and advances. Now currently if you see, loan and advances are used in the same context. Loan is same as advances, but the basic difference, if you see, loan is a one-time sanction, so one-time sanction, whereas advance is a kind of limit given to any particular borrower. For example, let's say someone wants to buy a machinery for his company, so he will go for a loan, so which means that he will take 1 crore or 2 crore of loan. So this entire amount is given to that person at one time, and then he buys the machinery. Advances is more of like, say he takes a 1 crore ka advance, so he can use, let's say 10 lakhs now, 20 lakhs at some other point. So advances is more about limit. So he need not use the entire money and take the entire money at the same point of time. Suppose a person is running a company, he takes advances, means he will have open a limit of say 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, and in that limit he can keep using whatever he requires out of that limit. Again, he can keep paying amount the money. So loan is a single borrowing, one time sanction, single borrowing, and advances is multiple withdrawal, multiple borrowing and multiple withdrawal, but again a single time sanction. Okay, so but currently both loan and advances are used in the same context. Now once we have understood it, let's look at credit facility. So what is credit facility? Now credit facility is what the bank gives to its customer. Now credit facility can be fund based or non-fund based. I'll explain you in detail. Now when fund based, it's like a various type of credit facility. Fund based loans are term loan or overdraft facility or a cash credit facility or a bill finance. Now what happens in fund based loan is bank is actually giving money to the firm. So term loan can be, suppose someone wants to buy machinery, so bank, and it borrows 1 crore for machinery, so that is called term loan, and it is borrowed for 5 years. So this kind of loan is called as machinery. Overdraft is, suppose someone takes an overdraft of 1 crore to run his business, so that person can borrow 1 crore, and up to 1 crore at any point of time from the bank. So basically he has an account, and if he wants, suppose, to pay his salary, employee's salary, so he can, from that account he can give a check of 10 lakhs. Again he can give a check of 5 lakhs. So up to 1 crore he can actually take the money. So this is overdraft facility. Cash credit is similar to overdraft, but in that what happens is, only thing is there is some goods based on which the cash credit is given. So suppose someone has suppose someone in manufacturing biscuits, and he has raw material to produce biscuits, but he needs more money to make sure that the biscuit is produced and distributed throughout, and he does not have just the money to get the manufacturing raw material. So he can take a cash credit, which means that credit is given and that credit is backed by his goods. So once he sells that good, he has to pay the cash credit. Bill of finances is similarly, again the bank gives a loan. Suppose a company is a manufacturer of biscuit, and it has already supplied to his suppliers, and that's money has not come, but it has made the supply. Suppose a person has sold biscuit to 5 suppliers, right, and each supplier has to give 20 lakhs, but the suppliers have not given. They have said that okay, after 1 month I will give you. So bill finances, when the bank finances based on those bills that yes, he will receive, but currently he does not have money, so based on that the bank can actually give him a loan, sanction him a loan. Now so in all these term based fund based, the bank is actually giving loan. In term loan, it's giving to buy some capital equipment like machinery. In overdraft, it is basically giving an account which has a certain limit, and that business can draw that till that amount of money for a year. In cash credit, it is giving the amount of money backed on some inventory or goods or something. And in bill finance, same as the above, but in this it is more that the person has made the supply, given the services, now he has just to receive it. Interim, in the meantime he is having lack of funds, so the bank is financing that. Now there are some non-fund based this is more about like contingent liability of fund. I'll give you an example, you will understand better. So there are 3 different kinds, and I'll explain. So number 1 is letter of credit. Number 2 is bank guarantee, and number 3 is deferred payment guarantee. Now I'll tell you what happens. Suppose you are exporting a machine from USA. Now you will not like to pay the money before you get the machine, and the US people will not like to send the machine from US to India before they get a guarantee that yes, you have the money to pay them. So what you do is you deposit that amount. Suppose that machine is worth 1 crore. You deposit that 1 crore with the bank, and the bank gives you a letter of credit that yes, once that machine is delivered in India, you will get this 1 crore rupees. So you know that till the machine is delivered, the bank will not release that 1 crore, and they know that if they deliver the machine to India, they will get that 1 crore. So in this case, the bank is not giving you any credit facility. Matlab, direct money it is not giving, it is your own money only. The bank is just issuing a letter of credit that yes, this person has 1 crore in his account, which is freezed till this time, and it will be released to you when you give this particular good by this particular date under these particular conditions. So letter of credit, here bank is not giving the money. So this is the difference of non-fund based credit facility. Second is a bank guarantee. I'll give you an example. Suppose there is a cricket team to be sold, IPL cricket team to be sold, and anyone who buys has to have 200 crores minimum. Now nobody knows who will have the 200 crores. So such people again go to the bank, and based on whatever amount of money they have in their account, the bank gives that yes, he has that 2 crores, and when he wins that particular auction, then he has the capability to give you that 200 crores or 500 crores or 700 crores. So this is bank guarantee, which means that the bank guarantees that yes, this person has this much amount, and if you require it, he can give you that money. Similar kind of bank guarantee is required when you are going to US for studies. So a bank guarantee may be needed that yes, he has the money to pay the fees. Okay. Suppose they have given you the admission, and suddenly you say that I cannot pay the fees. What will happen, right? So bank guarantee is in that case. Again, here the bank is not giving actually money to he is not loaning the money, it's your own money, but bank becomes a guarantor in between. So this is one kind of non-fund based credit facility. Third is deferred payment guarantee. Suppose in the example 1, suppose you have bought a machine from US, and every month you are paying 10 lakh rupees, okay, and this payment will continue till 10 months for the entire payment to be done. Deferred bank guarantee is similar to letter of credit, but what happens, so every month you are paying that 10 lakh rupees, okay. In case in any month you are not able to pay that money, the bank gives a deferred payment guarantee that yes, then they will pay that 10 lakh rupees. So it is a kind of so here the bank is actually giving the money, is not giving the money, just giving a guarantee. It will be only executed when you fail to make a payment. If you keep making that 10 lakh rupees for 10 months, the bank is actually not paying the money. So this kind of guarantee is called deferred payment guarantee. It is only when you buy something and you are paying on EMI. So bank gives a guarantee that yes, you will fulfill all your EMI regulations, right? So non-fund based credit facility is basically where the bank is not actually giving money, it's just giving a guarantee, and obviously bank charges for this, so they make money without even giving you money, right? The next topic we are going to talk about is interest rates. Now interest rate basically can be fixed, right, or floating. Floating means that they can keep changing. So if interest rate is floating, basically then there is something called base rate or PLR, which means prime lending rate. So based on these two rates, the bank can say okay, suppose I am taking an education loan, the bank will say that base rate plus 0.5%, or PLR is prime lending rate plus 0.25%. So since the base rate and the prime lending rate keep on changing, so the bank rate keeps on fluctuating. Now what is base rate is fixed by the government, PLR is prime lending rate. This is the rate at which bank give loans to their prime customers. Now you have to understand how banks function. Suppose bank has 10 lakh rupees. I'm giving an example. Okay, and there are three customers. One is a billionaire, one is a millionaire, and one is a service person in government, and another is a service person in private. Now if the bank gives 10 lakh rupees to a billionaire, the chances of default is zero. I mean, a billion, if a person is having 5,000 crores, if it borrows 10 lakh rupees, it is certainly going to return back. So here risk is minimal, right? And if a person gives it to a private sector, again he will return it, but here the risk is maximum. So wherever the bank finds maximum risk, it kinds of takes the maximum interest. So prime lending rate is the rate at which bank gives loan to its premium customer, prime customer. So these kind of customer are premium customer, where the risk is near to zero. If the bank give the money, the bank is guaranteed that they will get the money. So and again bank defines the prime lending rate, that what is the rate they will charge with their prime customers. So there are certain other important terms related to loan. They are very self-explanatory terms. I will just one is repayment period, which means that how much time they will pay, 5 years, 6 years, like that. Then another important term is security of loan. Okay. So what is given as a mortgage or hypothecation? Suppose you buy a car loan. The car is still a property of that particular bank till the time you pay the entire loan. Okay. The car papers, the car will original belong. So this kind of thing, or mortgage. So if you are not able to pay, the bank will take the car. So this is about the security of loan. Third important term is moratorium. Suppose what happens, again moratorium is same as the repayment period. The only thing is moratorium period actually says that from when the loan will start till when the loan will end. Suppose like say in education period, in education loan, take care, the person takes a loan on year 0. If his course is for 4 years, then he can only make payment from year 5 onwards. Okay. And suppose the loan is for 5 years, so till year 10 he will pay EMI. So such kind of scheduling is called moratorium. Okay. And the free period is called as debt moratorium, which means that in this period he will not pay any EMI, right? So with this, let's move to the next. There is also something very interesting which is called as reverse moratorium. Reverse mortgage scheme. Now here I will explain something. Suppose this is you, this is bank. Okay. So if you give EMI and banks give you home, okay, you have taken a home loan, this is called as mortgage scheme, right? Now suppose the banks give you an EMI and you give the bank your home, this is called as reverse mortgage scheme. So who actually goes for a reverse mortgage scheme? Suppose someone is very old, okay, so and it does not have any money to spend. Suppose they are not having any pension or the pension is very less. So old people, what they can do is give their house to the bank. The bank will calculate a value and start giving EMI to that person, and after they are dead, the home will belong to the bank. So this is reverse mortgage scheme. This is very new and very very common in USA. Okay, now various type of loans or credit facility uh, given by bank. I'll give you some example. One is like working capital loan, right? Second is term loan. Now I'll explain, like say suppose you are planning to open a software company. Okay. Now you need 20 lakhs for office space, computers, all these things, and every month you have to pay suppose 2 lakhs of salary. Okay. And since you don't have any money, so you will take a term loan to start with. So 20 lakhs is your term loan, and every month you are taking 2 lakhs for suppose 12 months. So this is your working capital loan, whatever loan you require to work. Then working capital loan can be in terms of overdraft facility. As already explained that the bank opens an account and you can draw maximum of this much amount. Okay. Cash credit facility again has that based on how much inventory you have got against some goods or services, you can take some loan, that is cash credit. Again, the third way the bank can finance is bill finance. So in bill finance, post dated checks, these are important for bill finance. So bank is financing your bills because bank knows that okay, after some time you will get that amount of money. Okay. Also there are certain various other kind of loans with the like say bank can loan against fixed deposits. So you have made a fixed deposit, but you will get it only after some time, so you can take loan on that. On national savings certificate, on Krishna Vikas Patrika. So these are similar to fixed deposit only, tax saving instrument, or even LIC policies also you can take loan against. So these are the various types by which bank can give you loan. Now another very important concept is a concept of personal loan. So all the time we were talking about commercial loan or business loan. Now personal loan is of two types. One is secured loan. So personal loan is not taken for any business, it is taken for any personal purposes. And second is unsecured loan. Now suppose you are buying a car or a home, so you will keep that car or home as a mortgage with the bank. So even if you don't pay, the bank is sure that it will get its money because there is car and home which you will put with the bank. So this kind of loan is called secured loan. Second kind of loan is called insecure loan, like credit card. Credit card is also kind of loan which the bank gives you, but it has nothing. Suppose if you don't pay your credit card, the bank has nothing to take that money back, get that money back. Similarly, education loan. So even if you take an education loan, if you don't pay, bank can do nothing. Okay. So such kind of loan are called unsecured loan. So always remember, secured loan is less risky, so the rates will be lower, and this is more risky, so rates will be higher. So often you will wonder that why car loan you can get at 8% and education loan is 14%. So this is the reason why, because education loan is unsecured loan and car loan is secured loan, right? There is also one thing I mentioned to forget here is the drawing power. The word drawing power, it is nothing but basically your total limit minus the usage. Suppose the bank has given you 1 crore of limit and you have used 20 lakhs, so your drawing power is 80 lakhs. So again, something very important. Let's move to the next part, and there is a concept called okay. Now again, okay. Now we are going to talk about certain important concepts. One is the concept called margin money. Now margin money is nothing. Suppose the total project is of, suppose you are buying a home and the home is of 1 crore. Okay. Margin money is the money put by you. Okay. So suppose the margin money amount is 5%. Now what happens is, so you have to put 5 lakhs and the bank will finance the 95 lakhs. So this is the margin money. So various different kind of loan, various different amount of margin money is required. Another important term is loan syndication. Now again, sometimes some projects are so big that one bank does not finance the entire project. So 2-3 banks come together and finance a particular project. So this is called as loan syndication. Suppose Kingfisher is going for a very very big project, so it will take loan from more than one bank. So this is called loan syndication. Now also there is a concept of retail lending. Now earlier most of the loan was given for only business loans. Now what happens is, now with people, disposable income increasing, income is increasing, so people have more income, also their needs are increasing. And earlier, the technology was not there to take care of a small loan. Suppose you are using a credit card and you are spending 1000 rupees, so it's a very small amount of loan. So what happens, the bank, if it start giving such small loans, earlier the cost of maintaining such kind of record will be very high, but with technology that operational cost is coming down, right? So even a small loans is becoming more viable. And also there is a slow growth in industrial sector, so the demand for loan in industrial sector is decreasing. All these things have led to what is called as retail lending, which is lending to small individual consumers. Now what kind of retail lending? The kind of retail lending example is home loans, education loan, car loan, similarly product loan. Suppose now you can even go to Flipkart and buy something and pay it in EMI, so such kind of product loan. And only because technology is so supportive currently that even such kind of loans can be managed very easily. Okay. Now one of the last topic on loans is loan recovery, because again there is a lot of guidelines on that. So loan recovery guidelines, because of lot of issues when loan recovery agents misbehaved and were not very good to the loans. So RBI has come up with guidelines. Less than 25,000 USD, which is equivalent to 15 lakhs. So any loan below this will be taken care by Lok Adalat, right? So that is the first point. Second point is, bank is responsible for the behavior, for actions of recovery agent. So even though recovery agent may not be a part of the bank employee, but if they misbehave, the bank will be responsible for their action. And for any recovery agent, training is compulsory. So if bank, even if it is taking an external agent, it has to, yeah. And most important is no harassment or abuse policy. So even if they have to recover, someone has not paid up the loan, so there has to be no harassment of. Now I think the last important topic for today would be MSME. Now MSME, this word you would come very often. It is called as micro, small and medium enterprises, right? So how do we define micro, small and medium enterprises, right? So there are two kinds of industry. One is manufacturing and the second is services. Okay, now there is a financial limit for which defines which industry will come in micro, which will be small, which will be medium. So for manufacturing, less than 25 lakhs is micro, 25 lakhs to 2 crore is small, and to 5 crore is small, and 5 to 10 crore is medium. For services, less than 10 lakhs is micro, 10 lakhs to 2 crore is small, and 2 to 5 crores is medium. So this again is very important part of question. Now the government wants to give a boost to these micro, small and medium enterprises. So they have arranged for easier loan or credit facility for MSME. And now bank, even if the government want, the bank will not give them loan, because obviously these industries have a high risk of failure. They can get out of business very soon. So what government has done is, it has created credit guarantee trust for MSME. Okay, this which short form is CGTMSE. Okay, now in this what happens, the government of India and SIDBI, the small form and the big form is Small Industrial Development Bank, okay, of India, SIDBI, they form a trust together, right? They deposit money in a trust, and this trust guarantees the loan taken by MSME. Suppose you are starting a business, you don't have anything to put as a mortgage or give guarantee to the bank, so you can opt and go and take this facility of CGTMSME and avail for the loan. Now there is certain RBI guidelines to take, so bank is sure that even if you are not able to pay, they will get their money from this particular scheme. Okay, now RBI guidelines is there that it can be only taken by priority sector. So you remember I told you that RBI can kind of dictate that which sector can get more loan. So priority sector except for retail trade. So suppose someone is wanting to open a kirana store, then they will not go, they will not get. Okay, but for any other thing like priority sector, whichever is mentioned in the priority sector, they can get loans. Now there is certain charges to avail this. Suppose you are taking a loan, there are certain charges. First is the one-time charge, okay, which is 1.5% of total loan. So suppose you are taking like say 1 crore loan, so 1.5% you will have to pay as one-time charge. So this one-time charge helps to build a trust. Okay, second, and this is by the way 0.75% for northeast region. Obviously government want to promote more industry there, so this is 0.75% for year, and maximum is 1 crore of loan is allowed. Second guideline is on annual fees. So one time charges is this, then there is something called annual fees. So annual fees again is 0.75% of the outstanding. So suppose your outstanding is 10 lakhs, so 75,000 you have to pay as a annual fees. The last concept which we are going to talk today is on the third party product. products. Now banks are sending a lot of third party products to increase their profit. Now why third party products? Okay. Why the bank needs to sell third party products? First of all, it gives an immediate return to the bank. Suppose I'm talking, let's say for example, Bank A, and it sells an insurance of LIC. So LIC will give commission to Bank A, right? So there is an immediate return for the bank. Also, there is no risk or no NPA, non-performing asset, because this product belongs to insurance. They will take care of it. Bank only gets the profit. There is no risk involved. Also, banks, they do a lot of bulk business. They can sell more, right? Also, there is a cross-selling. So suppose it's like someone is coming to your house, someone is coming to a shop for food, and you ask them, okay, go get water from the shop beside you. No, everything which a customer needs, if you can give it in your own shop, then you will make more profit. So same is cross-selling. So suppose someone is coming for a fixed deposit, you can also say that, okay, you have done a fixed deposit, why don't you take this insurance, right? If he has taken an insurance, you say, why don't you buy a home loan? So similarly, so cross-selling, it helps in cross-selling. The bank has more products for the same customer, and obviously bank gets access to new market. Like say, suppose when SBI started, it started with selling LIC policies, but now it has its own policy plan. So it has gone access to the new market. So last I'll talk about is what is called as, again, a line. Okay, we talk about bank insurance. Now, bank insurance is nothing but the insurance provided by bank, and there are three models which the bank follows. One is the referral model, in which the bank just refers to the, like say SBI is referring its customers to LIC. So this is the referral model. One is deposit linked insurance scheme. So these are very small schemes, like say if you make a deposit of 5 lakhs, you will get an insurance of 50 lakhs. So such kind of schemes. And third model for bank insurance is corporate model, corporate agency model, where the bank has their own, all the things of insurance. So they will have their own insurance branch which will do all the insurance assessment, everything. So like SBI currently does not sell any other LIC, any other policies. They just send their own policies. So this is corporate agency model, right? Now last, I think, topic for today is securities of bank loan. How is a bank loan secured? So already one is hypothecation. So the bank can keep the papers of your car or your especially hypothecation is for movable objects like say car, vehicle. Second is mortgage. So mortgage is for home, immovable objects. Third is pledge. So pledge is for goods and services. So suppose what you do is whatever kind of, suppose I am a Kingfisher, and if I want to take loan, so all my aeroplanes and everything I can pledge. Okay, everything. So all my goods, services I can pledge. So if anything happens, the bank can sell every of my asset and recover their money. And third is lien. Lien is nothing. There are two kinds. One is general and one is special. Suppose I am a Kingfisher, but I want money, but my business operation is not much, but I can keep my bungalow. So Kingfisher, like say Kingfisher Goa bungalow, which was worth some 200 to 500 crores though. So you can put something special also. So such kind of loan security is called as lien. General is that you can put all your property. In general, you have stand as a, suppose you act as a guarantee in general. So that is for general lien. So I think this ends our today's lecture.